is the law, as in Hammurabi's code, and it is the same thing that is incorrectly translated as the table of testimony that was put into the ark, upon which we are told the law was written. Once again, a metaphor for genetic code. One version of the Bible, however, from the 1800s, does translate the word table properly as tabat, and renders it as an arm bracelet. The word ark in the Bible is aron, A-R-O-W-N, in the Hebrew, and translates as the logograms har, H-A-R, and un, U-N, in Sumerian, which literally means har of the people, or you could say hair of the people. Knowing that the H-A-R, the har, represents DNA as the spiral arm bracelet, therefore, what it really means when it states in Exodus 25:16 and 40 verse 20 that they were to put the table, or har, into the ark, the har-un, is that Moses was receiving instructions to insert the genetic code, har, that he was given into the genetic code, har, of the people, un. This was literally genetic manipulation that was going on, and a blatant misuse of the father's seed that was stolen, as well as an abrogation of his instructions or law. You may be wondering why you've never heard this in church. Well, for obvious reasons. You're not supposed to know these things. They've hidden this for millennia. The Father is coming to reclaim that which was stolen, and the reclamation or shearing of the har from the sheep will be in the form of the red planet, Nibiru, from which it was originally taken. He will be taking back the seed that was stolen and tearing it off, just as we saw earlier, of the other son's genetics, who was from another father, which was added to it, the DNA or har of the second child, with which she, his rebellious wife, was pregnant, or of which she had knowledge. And you can see the same story hidden in mythology. This second child was from Satan, or Saturn, or the jinn, G-I-N, or the reptilians, as I've said above. The word for Lucifer in Latin is phosphorus. When phosphorus becomes oxygenated, it becomes a phosphate, also known in genetic terms as a pyran, P-Y-R-A-N, meaning a six-sided molecule, which is also the thing that was added to the first seed called the rib, taken from Adam, which is a metaphor for the five-sided ribose molecule that was taken from him for purposes of cloning. These two were unlawfully fused against the will of the Father to make our current form of genetics we call DNA, and is why Jacob prophesied that his son Dan, D-A-N, whose name is an anagram for DNA, would be a serpent, or serpenta, in the way, and why our DNA is called serpentine. This is because the Greek word for 6 is sera, S-E-R-A, and the Greek word for 5 is penta, P-E-N-T-A. DNA in its current form, therefore, is the serpent, or serpenta, comprised of a six-sided phosphate molecule, or pyran, and a five-sided ribose molecule. The har, H-A-R, is the law, or genetic code, that was misused to make our Frankenstein-like bodies possible, and won't pass away or be sheared until the fullness of time, or until all is fulfilled, which is what Esu, or Jesus, means in the words attributed to him in Matthew 5:17 through 19. This is also the reason that the wheat and the tares are being allowed to grow up together until the time of separation, as spoken of in Matthew 13:30. The phosphate, or pyran, is also what the Great Pyramid at Giza represents, which is why at the time that the temples of our bodies are destroyed, the physical temple, the pyramid, and likely the Temple of Solomon, also built by the Anunnaki, or otherwise known as Yahweh, and both of which are symbols of the human body, will also be destroyed or sheared, leaving not one stone upon another. Again, these stones referred to are metaphors for the same stones of fire stolen by Lucifer, who is also a pseudonym or alias for Yahweh, in Ezekiel 28, 14, and 16, referring to our ribose and phosphates. You can also see Matthew 24:2 and Mark 13:2. These stones of fire that Lucifer stole at the time of the Great Rebellion, however, also include yet another six-sided molecule, which is the basis for all life forms, and that other stone is carbon. The thing you need to know about the carbon molecule is that it is not only six-sided, but also has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. When the figure Lucifer, disguised as the Lord God and hidden behind the alias of the letters YHWH, created Adam, she put upon him her mark, and in doing so, quite literally created a beast. This is why carbon, that molecule of which you are comprised, is the true mark of the beast, and is simply one more reason why it must be sheared from the true sheep of the Good Shepherd, who know their Father's voice and hear what he is saying to them. Ribosomes and phosphates, by the way, are also the stones of fire used as a covering by Lucifer, as she is between them and inside of us, and has covered, just like Yahweh, Rebecca, Mary, and others covered. This is why she is referred to as the covering cherub in those verses in Ezekiel 28. And Mary Magdalene covered Asu's feet with her har also, as you'll recall. I talk about this in detail in my paper entitled Pyranosis at innercircle.us. If you read that paper, you will understand full well why this mark that is already in you has allowed you to buy and sell, just as prophesied that it will in the Bible, and how it is already on your quote-unquote right hand and on your quote-unquote forehead. When the word carbon is broken down into the logograms of the Sumerian cuneiform, it is rendered as har-bun, H-A-R, plus the logogram B-U-N. The logogram bun means rebellion, and once again, har is simply a shrouded reference to the strand of genetic material that was stolen. When we put these two together as har-bun, it is no surprise that the meaning is the genetics or DNA of the rebellion. This is because, once again, this is what was stolen during the rebellion. The planet Saturn is also represented by a six-sided hexagon on its north pole. Saturn is also referred to as Jinn, G-I-N, in the Sumerian language, as well as D-J-I-N-N in Arabic, and is the same word for a stone called lapis lazuli, which is not only part of the Holy Grail, which I speak about in my paper entitled The Holy Grail and the letters YHWH, but is also bright blue in color. Pardon me. This is the reason that those who say they are Jews, see Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, say they are Jews, fly the six-sided star on their flag, and why the rabbis have one blue fringe called a teklet on the bottom of their robes, representing